This is an interesting low mahogany table. Quite unusual really in its dimensions. It does have a wonderful maker's label underneath. So the fact that the dimensions are quite unusual makes us question it as to what it's all about. They didn't really have coffee tables when this was made, around about 1830. The legs look quite large compared to the size of the top. It's finished, or rather it's unfinished at the back. This moulding to the side and the front doesn't go all the way around, which suggests it was meant to go up against the wall. So I think there's probably a very good chance that this was a salesman's sample of a serving table. And to add to that, the legs are removable, they unscrew. So the legs can be taken off on their wooden threads. The table can be packed down with a number of other pieces of sample furniture, and the salesman can go about his business trying to get orders for the workshop. So onto the workshop. Let's come in a little bit closer and have a look at this label. Well, there we go. The label is for John Furlong, and it's believed that his business was started in around about 1812, and he described himself, as you can see, as a manufacturing upholsterer at 136, 137 and 138 Power Street, Woolwich, which is in southeast London. Now, that area, of course, is also where the Royal Military Academy was, and the Royal Artillery Barracks, and of course the Woolwich Arsenal, where they manufactured a lot of armaments. So as a campaign serving table, he was in the right area to get the attention of any army officers who might need such a piece, but also very close to the docks. So the sea captains, people travelling overseas, etc., etc. So we've got two possibilities here. It's a salesman's sample of an ordinary serving table, and the legs are just made to remove for ease of a salesman, or it's also a salesman's sample of a campaign serving table, and the legs are removable to show you exactly how it would dismantle on a full-size piece. But either way, it's a very interesting table. For modern use, it would be quite low as a coffee table. You could use it, but if you had a particularly low armchair, it would work quite well. You might also stand it on a desk or a table. You could put books or whatever in between, and then you've got a surface up here to put other things on. So with a little bit of thought, its modern use could be quite practical. One of the legs looks slightly different, this one, to the other legs. It certainly looks period, but again, it's possible that there were two or three of these tables, and at some stage the legs got mixed up. So if we hold them all together, you can just see that there's very slight differences in the turnings. Again, one of those things that you just have to accept is part of its history. But an interesting table. The Furlong family were very active throughout the 19th century in the area, in Woolwich, and John and James Furlong, probably the original John's sons, carried on the business. In 1840, the business is listed at 131 Power Street, so that's a change of address by about 4 or 5 doors. They moved along, and by 1858 They also described themselves in the trade directories as a brush turnery and coopery warehouse. And I think the family had several interests, as well as being auctioneers and undertakers, which again was not uncommon for cabinet makers of the period. And into the 20th century they even became car salesmen. So there you go, a mahogany low table, probably a salesman's sample, made by John Furlong with a wonderful label to the underside, John Furlong of Woolwich, in around about 1830 in date.